Hello, welcome to the Raising Arrows podcast, where we talk all things large family homemaking and homeschooling. Hey everybody, it's Amy from raisingarrows.net, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a day in the life podcast. Basically, this is a random day I chose to kind of give you an idea of what I do in a day. And sometimes it's a lot less than this, and sometimes it's a lot more than this, but it'll kind of give you an inside look into my life as a large family homeschooling mom and what a day might look like and what all's going on inside my head, which might be a little scary, but I think you might find it a little interesting too, and maybe a little encouraging as well. So typically when I get up in the morning, it is around 8 or 8:30, and it's usually because I have a 6-year-old coming in. She doesn't have her glasses on, she can't see anything, but she is hungry. It is a rare day when I am not awakened by a child first thing in the morning, and this has just been a part of my life forever and ever, amen. I know lots of women like to get up before their children, but I guess I've made a habit of not doing that, and I'm typically awakened by a child, and that's fine by me. I'm actually a night owl, and so I do a lot of things at night, as you will hear here in a moment when I talk about what I end up doing in the evening. So I am typically sleeping in until about 8 or 8:30. And like I said, in comes the 6-year-old. She wants some breakfast. I get up and I fix my hair a little bit and I put on some clothes and I head down to get her breakfast. Along the way, I'm usually letting the dog out, probably brewing a pot of tea for the iced tea, and also brewing a pot of coffee. Once I get her breakfast, either we will eat something together, just her and I. Sometimes we'll go out on the deck, or we'll sit at my work table or in the dining room together. A lot of times she and I will eat something similar because she's the only one up. Now the other kids usually get their own breakfast. I try to keep things on hand that are easy for them to make. There's always toast, there's always fruit. Occasionally there's cereal. There are eggs, typically sausage or bacon. There's just a lot of different things that they can have that are on hand, and most of them are perfectly capable of making those things. However, the 6-year-old is not, and so I do still help her get her breakfast, and then a lot of times we'll eat together. I used to have a very typical breakfast. Every single day I had the same thing, but I've been kind of doing something different lately. In fact, I found this fantastic bread called Seed-tastic at Aldi that my husband and I absolutely adore. It's full of nuts and seeds, and I toast that and put some butter on it and drink some coffee, and sometimes that's my meal. Occasionally I make bacon and eggs. He likes to have hash browns, so sometimes I'll mix that in, and when he comes down for breakfast, I'll serve him that, and sometimes he and I will eat instead of me and the 6-year-old. Now the 6-year-old does occasionally like to have like yogurt and honey or something along those lines. She's not big on fruit, but the other kids do like to have fruit, and it just depends on the morning. It's just kind of a hodgepodge, and we slowly wander into the kitchen, and that's how we've pretty much done this all along. From the very beginning of my parenting. I'm not a morning person. My husband does not require a breakfast, and he's not really a morning person. And so we just sort of slowly go about our day. We typically drink a cup or two of coffee and are pretty chill most of the morning until about 10 a.m. when I call everybody to school. By that point, most of the kids have managed to get breakfast. Most of the kids are dressed and they're ready to go with their day. Now, just to give you an idea of what my other children are doing in the morning, a lot of times I will come downstairs and several of the boys are already awake and they're reading or they're drawing in the living room. Okay, so at 10 a.m. is when we start morning time, usually. Now, if there's something going on that day, my husband's staying home longer, or I have errands to run, I will typically get the kids started on their individual schoolwork. Currently, right now, because we're taking a Jubilee year, which you can learn about in podcast number 124, I don't have them doing as much individual schoolwork. They basically have math, maybe a reading book, and there are music assignments, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I really don't think there's anything else beyond that. They might have a graphic design class or something like that, but currently a lot of what we're doing is done as morning time. Now, I've had some kids sick, and my husband had the shingles, and I had a tooth pulled, and I've had to take my daughter to the airport and pick her back up, and so morning time has been a little crazy this last month. And what I mean by a little crazy is non-existent. I haven't been able to get it in. But if I were having a typical homeschool day, which I'm trying to share here with you, I would start the Playful Pioneers. We would do the different Bible readings that they have. We would do some of the crafts we'd read in our book, which currently is Farmer Boy. And we also have some other things that we're adding in. Sometimes we do a nature study. Sometimes we do flip-flop Spanish. And so it just depends on the day. I try to put into the day exactly what I can handle and exactly what they can handle without pushing either one of us too far. And that's really what a Jubilee homeschool year is about. It's doing something different. It's changing the pace. It's changing the schedule, and it's changing the curriculum. And it gives you this freedom to do what you need to do when you need to do it. So that's what we're doing. And I have to learn myself to let go of any guilt that I might have for not fitting in all the things every single day. After we've done morning time, it's usually about 11 or 11:30, sometimes 12, that we get done and the kids go off to do their individual schoolwork. Some of the kids who ate earlier will go ahead and get themselves lunch, which is usually soup, salad, or sandwiches. Most of the time, it's sandwiches. In the winter, most of the time, it's soup. They might also have leftovers, which is typically what I end up eating, or they may have nachos or cheese chips or something along those lines. The kids who are not hungry yet will go ahead and do their independent schoolwork, and then later will grab lunch around 1 or so. After I have helped the 2 younger girls with their schoolwork and floated in between the boys who are working on their math and might need a little bit of guidance from me, I will take my lunch break. Now, I actually take a full-blown lunch break, and I have done that for several years now because by the time I have taught school and I have focused a lot of my energy on teaching, I kind of need to take a step back and do nothing. So I will get my lunch, I will take my laptop up to my room. Often I will shut the door, sometimes I don't, but most of the time I will shut my door. And I will watch something and eat my lunch. I'll watch something on YouTube or on Paramount Plus or something like that just to kind of unwind. I am usually up there for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then I come back down and start parenting again. But my kids are old enough that they're able to get their own lunch. They help the 6-year-old, or I have helped her prior to getting my lunch. And then they can kind of just do their own thing. There's still some of them working on independent schoolwork. And I come down then and I get everybody going on their table chores. Table chores are done in a monthly rotation. It's assigned by child what they do. Some of them are cleaning up the kitchen, the dining room, loading, unloading the dishwasher, washing the extras, going on a dish hunt where they go throughout the house and find any dishes that somebody might have left sitting in the living room or in a bedroom. And that is basically the chores that we have separated out between all of the children who are able to be working in the home. Now, I do have a 17-year-old who works outside the home a lot, and he is not on the table chore rotation because more often than not, he's not there when we need to do table chores, so I took him completely out of the rotation. I am pretty much floating around, supervising, making sure things are getting done, and helping finish up with anybody on schoolwork that still needs a little bit of help to get done. By this point, it's usually around 2 p.m. And if I have any errands to run, that's when I'm going to do them. So on the day that I'm sharing about, I believe I went to the library. I had some holds that I needed to pick up, and then I also needed to drop off some books. While I was out, I went ahead and stopped at a local grocery store that was having a deal on ground beef, and I picked up several packages of their family packs of ground beef. and brought those home. I also stopped and got gas at a local gas station, and I picked up the special night food for the special night kid who was going to be having their special night that evening. By this point, it's about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and it's time for the kids to tidy up the house so that they can watch their shows at 4 p.m. So I get everybody going. There's actually a reminder on my phone every single day at 3:45 that says tidy up. We tidy up basically the main levels. Sometimes I will have them do their bedroom if it's really bad, but most of the time I'm just looking for the main level to be tidied up. They usually get a snack then, and they sit and watch a show. The kids rotate how they do shows. So the girls take turns picking and the boys take turns picking. So there ends up being 2 shows they watch probably for about an hour to an hour and a half, and then the TV goes off. A lot of times while they are watching shows, I go ahead and do some blog work, or I'm reading in a book, or I'm doing my Bible study. This particular day, I think I was meal planning because I had not been able to do it the week before. So I sat down and I figured out what we were going to have on our menu, and I looked through the pantry to see what else needed to go on the grocery list. Along about 5 p.m., I start supper. And sometimes I've got kids that I'm guiding through the process of helping to make the meal, but tonight it was just me. And so I put together the ingredients and I put together the meal. The kids were coming in and out and talking to me. I had a nice long discussion with my 18-year-old who had gotten back from her job. And usually in the background, I have Enya radio playing on Pandora. After dinner is finished and the table chores are done, it's time for special night. And so the special night kid gets to come upstairs with his special snack and his drink, and everybody else hangs out downstairs until bedtime. They're usually playing Legos or reading or drawing. The special night kid comes up. He gets to play games. He gets to watch shows with us. We usually talk to him. Quite often I will give them an essential oil rub, and they get to stay up later than everybody else. Now, the funny thing about this is my younger kids do not like to stay up too much later than their older siblings because they don't want to be all alone going to bed at night. And when it comes to going to bed at night, both the boys and the girls listen to Adventures in Odyssey Club. I turn it on my phone or on the iPad, and they listen to one episode, and then it turns off, and they're typically asleep by that point. In the evenings, I will sometimes watch something with my 18-year-old, or I watch something with my husband. I oftentimes am doing blog work while I'm watching something with them, so I usually only catch about half the show. We have a TV in our bedroom, so I sit on the bed and I work on blog things, and we watch together and we talk, and occasionally I say, "What did I miss? I didn't catch that," and they'll have to catch me up on it. But that's typically what I'm doing in the evening, is some sort of blog work. I'm either scheduling something or putting together show notes for this podcast or for videos or doing a blog post. I also take time during the evening to answer emails or to delete emails that are not necessary. Now, on this particular evening, I stayed up even later after my husband had gone to bed. I ended up getting a wild hair about biblical feasts and the liturgical calendar. I have been studying this for years and years and years, and I keep coming back to it, and I keep feeling like I want to add more and more of this into our home life. So I decided to do a bunch of research. Next thing I knew, it was 1 a.m. Yes, I told you I was a night owl. So I ended up forcing myself to go to bed, but I was just cramming my brain full of information. In fact, I still have a bunch of windows open in my browser that I want to check out. But that is kind of how my brain works. Typically late at night, I start researching things and thinking about things, and I jot down notes to myself. And then the next morning, I'll kind of try to put all that together, and I'll pray over it, and I'll try to implement whatever I can. But I am definitely a researcher at heart. And so that is a typical day for me. I'm running errands, I'm teaching school, I'm being a wife, I'm being a mother, I'm spending time with my little kids, I'm spending time with my big kids, I'm spending time with my husband. And then late at night, I'm spending time with the Lord. I have really tried to start making a habit of getting up in the morning and spending time with the Lord then as well. But as I said, I still have this habit of being wakened by children instead of by an alarm or on my own. And oftentimes it seems like things are very urgent and I'm having to take care of those, and I don't get a chance to really settle down and really focus until the evening hours. Good or bad, that's the way my life currently is, and I wanted to fully disclose that to you as what a day in my life actually looks like, not a sugar-coated version, not one with pretty graphics and pictures and all kinds of loveliness. It's really pretty bare bones, going from one thing to the next, a lot of mundane, but in the mundane is discipleship and glory for the Lord and love and honor and respect and kindness and many, many, many opportunities for me to grow in my faith, to grow as a mother and as a wife. There are many times when I am taken to my knees because I'm just not doing it very well, and I need help and I need redemption and I need a savior. I am not enough, folks. You are not enough. Every single one of us needs the Lord, and that is okay. That is the way it is supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be able to do it all and be it all. I am supposed to be dependent on the Lord. And so I'm thankful for this never-ending string of things to do, because it gives me more and more opportunities to practice my faith and to depend on the Lord. So I hope you've enjoyed this little glimpse into my daily life. I kind of hesitate to share this with you because it's not super glamorous and it's actually kind of a little boring, but I hope that you see yourself in some of it, and I hope that you are encouraged that whatever it is that you are doing in your daily life is glorifying to the Lord and honoring to your family. And one other thing before we go, I'd really like to answer any questions you might have about large family homemaking and homeschooling. So I'd love for you to send in your questions to amy@raisingarrows.net, and I will try to answer those questions in a future podcast, because I want you to be getting out of this podcast exactly what you need in your large family homemaking and homeschooling efforts. So please send me your questions, and I will share the answers to your questions in future podcast episodes. Until next time, thank you for sharing this day in my life. I pray your day will be blessed.